So I'm just going to kind of talk a little bit about what I've done with playing around with analog video capture recently, using this PC here, little tablet, 7-inch tablet, it cost $100, and StarTech video adapter. I think a lot of this translates well to just any PC really, because that's all. This is just a Windows PC. It just happens to be in tablet form, and relatively inexpensive. So yeah, so there's a little picture of it. Came up a little bit. So so Windows PC with a USB port, and then the StarTech SVID for S-Video to USB to adapter. Also, somewhere along in here too, there'll also be a link to a web page where I've been kind of posting my more details and kind of updating as I find more info on doing this. So next slide. So key things: software, Windows 7, 8, 10. I've actually plugged in the USB on a Windows 10, and it seems to work okay on there as well. The Lagerwith codec, which seems to be a good choice of codecs. This one the Recon group is using as well. It's it's a compressed but not compressed codec, but it's a lossless compression. So and it seems to be able to keep up even on this little tablet and everything. It doesn't. I haven't seen any drop frames yet, so it's not the sort of heavy compression that's going to cause frame drops. And Virtual Dub is basically the capture device I've used most. I'm going to start experimenting not long with Presto's OcuRec, but I just haven't gotten to that yet. Next slide. Software setup: install the codec, and install Virtual Dub, and then install the drivers for the StarTech, which again on my little web page, it's more info on that. Looks like I should have used less of my space on my PowerPoint. It's not showing the whole thing. So next slide. Yeah, it's cutting it off 10 there, but oh well. So installing the drivers for the StarTech, it comes with a little CD, so I just copied the files on, and I actually run their setup program before plugging in the device. Otherwise, Windows tries to install some generic driver, which you can get rid of eventually, but it's easier if you just go ahead and install the StarTech drivers first, then plug in the StarTech device. Next slide. And again, you don't have to worry too much about writing this down or anything, because it's all on that web page. Which, so basic video capture steps: connect the hardware together, video input through the VTI, and then into this StarTech device. It just has a little, standard video adapter on it, just like you'd plug it into a camcorder. And then you plug the other end. You need some connection which gets you from this regular USB, which is fine if you've got a regular USB port on your laptop. This plugs right into the laptop, that works fine. But in the case of this little tablet, I needed an adapter that went from the standard USB thing to the micro USB, and in particular this one has a little extra piece on it for adding a little power, so I can use a little USB power brick to extend the life of the thing if I'm leaving it remotely. So next. Sorry? Yes. Yep. Basically what it is. So starting and stopping capturing on the tablet. On a PC, on a laptop, it's easy to run Virtual Dub. On the tablet, it can be a little bit of a pain because the tablet has such a small interface on it, and trying to touch something with your finger doesn't work very well. So it winds up on a tablet. I've got some notes about that on my website too. On the tablet, it works better to use the keyboard and use F6 and some of these things. And I've also actually written a little small app that drives Virtual Dub for me. It makes it even easier. But so file size. With the Lagerwith codec, occultation files take about 4 gigabytes for 10 minutes. So that's, there's plenty of room on this tablet. I think as the tablet ships, it's got about 12 gigabytes of space on it. So, it's more than enough time for any afterward occultation stuff we record.
1 or 2 per night though.
Yeah, that's right. Well, you can reduce the time. You don't have to record for 10 minutes. You can get 5 minutes is probably enough for asteroid occultation. Have plenty of room on either side. So, and you can add you can put a micro SD card in it, so you could actually put a 64 gig micro SD card in, you have more than enough space available in that case if you wanted to. But so portable. This is my portable setup here. So this Stream $799. Unfortunately, HP seems to stop making them. I just found out they're for some reason HP is not making them. I'm hoping that doesn't mean that that all these little small tablet Windows 8 tablets are going to disappear, because it's a pretty neat option to have a $100 tablet. That's fairly inexpensive for a PC, really. Well, $100 tablet, which, like I say, works great for doing this. And then you got the StarTech, which is about $50, and there's some various cabling pieces. Altogether, less than $200 for a setup, which for a new device is useful. Is a pretty good price point. In fact, that's one of the reasons I started looking at this. Is in terms of recording analog video right now, I could not find anything that was portable that I could buy. Nothing. Maybe there's something up in the $10,000 range. I didn't look up that high, but I mean, they just don't make them anymore. I mean, nobody's interested in recording analog video anymore. So, I needed something, and I was looking. So, and this Anchor power brick thing here, as I mentioned, which I didn't bring up, but it's just those little standard things people buy to recharge their phones when their phone runs out of juice. They don't cost much, $25, something like that, for a pretty good one. Next slide. Let's see what else I've got on here. Yeah, so the software, Labyrinth, Codec, Virtual Dev is free. That little BDOCC thing, I have a link to that on my website that's mentioned here. And I've got a timer mode set up so I can, on this BDOCC, which was I just modified another app that was out there that you mentioned, VD Timer, which people use to run virtual dev unattended. So I can set up a timer and then it'll record it for me. I've done that a couple times now. Set up a timer for 5 in the morning or whatever, and I go to bed and it comes on and records it. So next slide. See what else I've got here. So it records to an AVI file with a Labyrinth codec. And it has a manual mode, so you can just sort of manually start and stop it. 30 minutes of recording with no additional SD card. So that's just with the amount of space that's available on the stream. And with the battery power, it looks like I'm missing a few pieces. With the HP Stream internal battery only, I think it'll stand by for maybe 4 hours. The stream will. I think maybe it's 3 hours, just by itself, just the battery. And if you fully charge the stream and use it, let's see if the next slide talks about the other options or not. No, it didn't talk about it. So the other options were, if I use a little power brick, I think it lasts, well, quite a while, like 12 hours or something like 9 hours, maybe something like that. And I've also done some numbers, and they're on the website and things, for using a little 8-cell battery pack and 8 lithium batteries or 8 of the rechargeable nickel metal hydride batteries, and those also, in that case, it also lasts about 7 or 8 hours. So you can, it's good enough to do a fairly long pre-point time. But again, that's with the HP Stream, and I don't know what's going to happen with that now. They do make an 8-inch model, which is a little more expensive, but I'm not sure if they're going to continue that either. So I kind of have to see what happens, keep my eyes open for more.
Maybe buying them on eBay.
Maybe, yeah. It's just like yeah, well, maybe hopefully someone will come with something, a replacement thing. But, all right, so here's a few tips on just getting for the stream to make it a little more usable. Turn off auto rotate so it doesn't go into portrait mode when you're turning it upside down or whatever. The standard keyboard makes it a lot easier to navigate the user interface on that tablet. Power management, I set it so it never sleeps, because I don't want it to go to sleep automatically when I walk away, leaving it on a pre-point station. I turn it in airplane mode, which I think also helps keep it from doing anything weird when it's and it helps the battery life as well. So a few little tips like that. Next slide. Yeah, VDOCC. That's just a simple little thing I wrote that just sends keystrokes to virtual dub, which is all BD Timer used to do, sends keystrokes to virtual dub and kind of drives it for you. It makes it a little easier to navigate when you have that little tablet interface. It's pretty hard to operate with a little screen. Hibernate, yeah, that's one other thing I put in there so that if I leave the stream unattended and it records, then it tells the stream tablet to hibernate afterwards, so it doesn't just run out of power and just sort of die on its own. It kind of shuts down cleanly that way. Next slide. So AVI files are in Lagrith codec, so you need to have the Lagrith codec installed on whatever machine you use to analyze your video file. So if you record it on something like this and then you take it and put it on your laptop, you know, look at a laptop, you need to have the Lagrith codec installed in there, which is easy to do. LI Movie, I found it worked best to set LI Movie into a mode where it uses direct show rather than using the other mode, but use direct show to, and the Tengra is easy. Yeah, video for Windows, right? Yeah. So that's just a note on using LI Movie. And Tengra reads the files just fine as long as you have the codec installed in your system. Next slide. It may not be any. That's it. Okay. I went kind of fast. Trying to make up a little time. Any questions offhand? And again, the website is on this presentation, which will be up on the web page for the, and you can find it by just going to my NestDBR website.
Is there any reason that this wouldn't work, an observatory using a laptop?
No, yeah, this all works on a regular laptop. I've done it with my laptop. This is just a small laptop.
Small laptop.
It's just a small laptop, and some of the stuff I did was because it's kind of hard to drive the user interface on this, but it's easy on a laptop or a desktop.
The issue of drop frames because of
I never had any drop frames.
Waking up and doing things.
I haven't had that yet, but it also helps to have something where don't have other stuff going on, right? Probably, although it seems that the current generation PCs seem to have plenty of, Lagrith keeps the bandwidth pretty low that it needs. And current generation PCs don't seem to have much problem. I've thought about, but I haven't tried broadcasting while I'm recording on something like Ustream. That'd be an interesting test to see what happens then. In theory, I could do that. I could Ustream it off this thing while I'm recording and just broadcast and other people could watch it. But I haven't tried that yet. But
Yeah, two questions. You mentioned there was some level of compression.
yes.
Direct recording disk or two.
Yes, this Lagrith codec. It's a lossless compression. It's just a run length encoding.
Lossless, which means you don't lose frames.
No, it doesn't mean you don't lose frames, but it does mean that you can recreate the exact data afterwards. You don't lose data. You don't lose content.
And therefore does not affect timing.
Right.
Excellent.
No.
There's another question. Since it's a whole Windows system, could it be operated remotely over the net to an observatory?
Probably. If you got, I don't see any reason why not.
Remote desktop.
Remote desktops. Yeah, there's a variety of remote desktop apps. I use one myself for accessing a PC at home occasionally. But yeah, I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. Yes, Bob?
How do you determine whether you lost frames by library or paper?
Actually,
Repeat the question.
yes. Good point. Bob asked, how do you detect whether or not you've missed frames? You obviously can check afterwards, and both some of the analysis software like Ocular and ROT will look for drop frames in the data if you have it, but VirtualDub also tracks frame rate and will tell you if it's dropping any frames. So you can get some indication just afterwards from looking at that.
How does it tell you? Arm go off?
No, it just shows it on the screen when VirtualDub is running. It gives a running count on the bottom that tells you if it's dropped any frames or not.
So,
It will. Yep.
so if you have a timestamp, like an IOTA VTI, both RO and Ocular and IOTA all will look at the VTI readings and watch for discontinuities.
And tell you if you've got issues popping up or not.
Right. So if you have discontinuity issues, it will highlight those for you. So, The top frame.
If it sees drop frames, it'll let you know. Well, there's multiple levels of data checking here. One thing is that, when you analyze a video with iMovie or Tangra, it reads the timestamps and then embeds those timestamps in the output that it generates. So iMovie and Tangra, they'll help, right? The real thing that tells you is the next step. IOTA or Ocular or IOTA. Yeah, so those programs then look to make sure the timestamps are continuous. And they'll tell you, oh, looks like, you've got a gap here. You've got this frame has a certain time and the next frame went too far forward in time. It'll let you know about that. And of course, if you have an occultation, normally it's always a good idea to step through and look and see if you see any issues in the immediate vicinity manually.
This is something, of course, I use videotapes.
Right.
And I'm seeing numbers flashing over, playing, freeze framing. They show up there. Lost frames only regarding video.
You'd have to manually spot the gap. If you're doing single stepping forward, freeze framing, and you're going forward one frame at a time, and it should be bumping up 30 milliseconds every time. If you see it bump up 60 milliseconds, then you're going to say, oh, looks like I'm missing a frame in there. But I mean, that'd be very unusual for a VCR. VCRs don't drop frames. But I wouldn't expect a VCR to drop a frame. That'd be very unusual.
It's a digital issue.
Generally, it's something that shows up. Usually, it generally shows up only when you're doing the video capture stuff. Yes.
It seems to me that when you use this, the full screen is not used for the screen. It's part of it. Is there any solution for that? City is like a 4-inch diameter.
I'm sorry?
In terms of the video that you get displayed on screen set.
No, I see the full video on there. Yeah, this is like sorry, no, this is, I think it's about 1200 by 800 or something like that. So plenty of room for showing 640-480, so.
Virtual dub
Yeah.
is the entire screen.
No, not the entire screen, no. But, so it's a small, but it shows the entire video, if that's what you're asking.
But when I use it in the field, the video field is usually part of that screen.
Yes, right. I see what you're asking. I was looking at the, yes, that's right.
Is there any case to that? I use the whole screen.
Not with virtual dub that I know of. I don't know of a way offhand to tell virtual dub to maximize the capture screen that it's showing you. But it may be possible with OcuRec. It's a different program for capturing, and I haven't started playing with that much yet, but I will do that, but I haven't done that yet. Oh, you can? Okay, I just don't know the command. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay, so there is a way. I just haven't played with it. I don't, yeah. 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 It may cause funny things on the tablet, but it's fine on a desktop probably, but a laptop. But Any other questions? Okay. Lunchtime? Okay.